Hey, True Seekers. It's April 2nd, 2017, opening day of the 114th season of Major League Baseball. This season will conclude with the 113th World Series. The reason the count's off between the season and World Series is because the 94 season ended in the players' strike and there was no World Series. In case you're new to my channel, you've never seen my work before, 2 years ago, before the season began, I called why the Mets would be in the World Series. I thought they might win it. They lost to the Royals. A lot of people said that was a crazy pick before the season began, but I said, no, you just watch. The Mets are going to be there. Last year, before the season began, I guaranteed why the Cubs would win it. It was all in the numbers. This year, I'm not as confident about who's going to win the World Series, but if you made me bet today, I'd bet on the Washington Nationals. We're going to talk about why. First, we're going to begin with a little warm-up, and we're going to talk about why baseball has a 162-game season. It has everything to do with the language of gematria and the word baseball. Baseball, in reverse ordinal gematria, sums to 162. Major League Baseball has a 162-game season. If you write out Major League Baseball, it also sums to 162. Baseball equals 162. Major League Baseball equals 162. The difference between ordinal, where Major League Baseball sums to 162, and reverse ordinal, where baseball sums to 162, is the sequence of the alphabet. Both methods are based on the alphabetic order. In ordinal, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. In reverse ordinal, Z is 1, Y is 2, X is 3, up to A is 26. You just flip the alphabet. When you learn this language, you see how relevant this is to sports. Take the NFL, which is a rigged puppet show, just like Major League Baseball. The face of the NFL right now is the half-talent Tom Brady, who's made to be the king of the league because it's all scripted. Look at the name Tom Brady in gematria. 98. Pay attention to the 118 in reverse. I'm going to write out Patriots now. Patriots, 118, 98. And New England Patriots even has this gematria of 98. Keep in mind the upcoming NFL season will be the 98th. It'll be the season of Super Bowl 52, and Tom Brady has a chance to win his 6th Super Bowl. The whole world of professional sports is this way. Cleveland, one of the only cities in the nation with a 33 gematria. Their star player is LeBron, 33, James, 33. So just real quick before we get back to baseball, I'm trying to let you know this gematria code, it's very relevant. You learn this language, you can see through the world of professional sports and how they're scripted. And the reason there's these perfect alignments with things such as Tom Brady and LeBron James is because these are Manchurian athletes. They were born and bred to be, they were chosen from a young age, and a script has been built around them. It's more than just these two men. This is just our introduction. So we're going to come back to baseball in the 162-game season. On this website, gematrinator.com, which I got the link below. I always link this website in all of my videos in the description. Sumerian gematria is where you multiply ordinal times 6. I just want you to see MLB, 162 in the times 6 method. One more connect to 162. Also notice the 54 in reverse ordinal. Again, baseball has gematria 54 ordinal and reverse reduced. Like I said last year, we'll see the Cubs win the World Series. The last pitcher on the mound for them will be number 54, Chapman, the hardest throwing man in baseball. Last year, the reason I guaranteed the Cubs would win the World Series is because it had been 108 years since they won. Major League equals 108. There's 108 double stitches on a baseball, meaning there's 216 total stitches. The Cubs ended up beating the Cleveland Indians from the 216 area code. Go back and see my work. There's so many amazing things. Also, before the playoffs began, I said why the Cubs would defeat the Indians for this exact reason, and I showed how it was foreshadowed in the film Major League, which came out 27 years earlier. MLB 27. Each team gets 27 outs in a complete game, which means in a total game, both teams combined for 54 outs are baseball number. Now, the wise person's probably going, well, Zach, baseball used to have a 154 game schedule. Think about the 154. Who created baseball? Do you remember the name? The name is, when spelled correctly, Doubleday. Doubleday, the man credited with creating baseball. Doubleday equals 154. This 89 is super interesting because I think the first major ritual for the rigged season ahead came out of Atlanta, Georgia, with the Interstate 85 fire on the 89th day of the year, March 30th. It was Interstate 85, the day after the fire, the Atlanta Braves, originally from Boston. They used to be the Boston Braves, then they became the Milwaukee Braves, and they became the Atlanta Braves. Remember last year, the Atlanta Falcons lost to the team from Boston in the Super Bowl after advancing over the team from Wisconsin. That was right after the 112th World Series, and Super Bowl equals 112. Last year's Super Bowl was a play and a tribute to the World Series. But anyhow, Doubleday, the 89th day of the year, we get this fire on Interstate 85. Check this out. Interstate 85 equals 113. This year, the World Series will be the 113th World Series. Atlanta Braves also have gematria of 89. I don't think the Braves are going to win the World Series. If they do, though, they're worth a bet right now. They're 1 to 120 odds. $100 will pay you $12,000. The Atlanta Braves could sneak in there. What I'm going to show you in this video is why I expect the Nationals to do it this year, upsetting the Cubs. The Cubs are the favorite. I think the Nationals are going to beat the Cubs this year. We're going to get to it. So we're just setting up the basics, understanding gematria, the relevance of this language. MLB's first season, 1903, 114 years ago. Again, 113th World Series because of the 94 lockout year. I've been watching the Washington Nationals and the rituals they've been getting with Max Scherzer. Something to look for this season. The last 2 years, the first no-hitters of the season have been by the numbers, and they have foreshadowed who would be in the World Series. So remember, the first no-hitter this year will likely foreshadow at least one of the teams in the World Series. I won't be surprised if Max Scherzer throws the first no-hitter of this season. He's going to turn 33 years old. I'm going to show you what's so special about him and the Nationals, who were once the Montreal Expos, who are now in their 49th season, a very special number. They're in their 49th season. They could theoretically make their 5th playoff appearance this year. I think that'll happen. Washington in gematria sums to 49. 49th season of the Washington Nationals. Last year's World Series very much connected to the presidency. Just like the world of professional sports is always very much connected to the presidency. In case you've ever overlooked it, final term of the Chicago congressman as president, the Cubs win, the Blackhawks dominated during the time of Obama, plus so much more. But anyway, Washington 49, 49th season for the Nationals in the 114th year of the MLB. Look at President of the United States, 114. President of the United States also has gematria of 147. There's 147 windows at the White House. World Series has gematria of 147. So does Freemason. Doubleday, who created baseball as we know it, a Freemason. Freemasonry built Washington, D.C. If you've never seen my work on Washington, D.C., the Freemason compass, the greater significance of this number 147, you got to check it out. The word conspiracy is 147. Go back and watch the Ken Burns documentaries on baseball. It says it clear as day in those documentaries. Baseball has always revolved around conspiracy for the purpose of gambling, for the purpose of making the games exciting, for the purpose of creating fan interest. So anyhow, the World Series, Freemasonry, the presidency, things lining up for the Washington Nationals. Part of the reason I think they'll be there this year. This year also marks 141 years since the start of the National League, the first league in baseball. Then came the American League. That's where the World Series comes from. The champions between two leagues. Like in football, the AFL and the NFL back in the day. Now it's just the NFL. Now it's just Major League Baseball. With regards to it being 141 years since the establishment, if you write out 33, it has this gematria of 141. And check out the name gematria of Nationals. The Nationals star player is Max Scherzer, who will turn 33 years old in July. And notice Nationals also has the 57 connection like World Series. Very important number to the World Series. 2 years ago, 57 days after the World Series ended, Dave Henderson dropped dead at age 57. The last team he played for were the Royals, who had just won the World Series. So anyway, it's been 141 years, or this will be the 142nd season of the National League. The Nationals are in the National League, right? With the S exception, Nationals also sums to 42, and if you write 42, it sums to 142. So, 2 alignments with the Nationals for this season, in terms of looking at it through the numbers. And let's not forget, with regards to 33, very special number to Freemasonry, the sport of baseball built around the diamond. Little side note, the diamond trade in Africa, the man in charge of that was Cecil Rhodes. But anyway, the diamond, the sport of baseball, is based on the sport of cricket. A lot of Americans don't know this, but the first professional sports league in the United States of America, the very first, was cricket. Cricket was the first professional sports league. Cricket, baseball, 33, Freemasonry. I think you get the point I'm making. The first team was the Cincinnati. I'm not sure that they were called the Reds back then, but they were founded by Abner Doubleday. Doubleday, 154. The baseball season used to be 154 games. The name Abner Doubleday also has the gematria of 57, like World Series, his full name, like Scottish Rite. It is the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry that's created all of these sports, including American baseball. Conspiracy connects to 57, just like World Series, Freemason, and Conspiracy connect through 147. Right now we have this president, Donald Trump, of Scottish ancestry. He's a Freemason, he's a Jesuit. Last year, the 112th World Series, by the way, very much connected to the election. Donald ended up taking it. It's interesting, though, how, he had his convention in Cleveland. Cleveland lost. The Cubs won. Hillary from Chicago, a Cubs fan. But remember, he's the Trump card. It's about flipping the script. So, also, with regards to Trump and this being the 114th season, we talked about how President of the United States equals 114. So does Trump and Francis Bacon. So does Trump card. As for it being the 113th World Series, Scottish equals 113. We're talking about Scottish Rite Freemasonry, who built Washington, D.C., who built American baseball. If you write out 113... since this will be the 113th World Series, it also sums to 99, like 13 in Illinois. If it's not the Nationals this year, my first hunch was that it would be the Cubs again this year, because they broke the drought 108 years after it began. This year will be 108 seasons since the Cubs since they won that World Series before last year. Could be another 108 connection, Major League 108. Willis Tower in Chicago is 108 stories tall, renamed Willis Tower appropriately. See my work last year? There's more to the story. But anyway, I was thinking about it. If they're going to have the Nationals and they're really going to have a team from Illinois in the World Series, the White Sox aren't supposed to make it either. But I'm just thinking about how the White Sox are truly Obama's team. Obama, Trump. If we got a Nationals, White Sox World Series, I'm going to show you what the White Sox have going for them in terms of 113 besides this in just a second. Another possible team for the Nationals to play are the nearby Orioles, who are a competitive team, and some people do think will make the World Series this year. An Orioles National World Series would be very Washington, D.C. based. Two teams right by each other, a lot like the Bay Area World Series. You know, there's been many New York World Series in baseball history. Orioles, White Sox, and we'll talk about it, maybe even the Mariners. You know, here's why. Using these ciphers, our base ciphers, there's not a single team in Major League Baseball that has a connection to 113. You can't write out a single city name, a single team nickname. You can't write out the city and the team nickname. You won't find a single team that sums to 113. There's not one. Remember, 2 years ago, I said the Mets would be in the World Series because it was the 111th World Series. That whole 111th World Series was all by the numbers. And I showed why it would be the Mets and not the Yankees. The Yankees, I don't think, will ever win another World Series. They might be in another one, but I don't think they'll win. The Yankees have won 27. Very special number to baseball, MLB. I think they're done. So anyway, New York, 111th World Series, that was easy to see. Chicago is the Zionist Mecca. Zionist equals 112, and it really is. I mean, Chicago's like the Zionist Mecca of North America. Plus, the Cubs had all the 108 stuff going for it. This is why I put the Cubs in the 112th World Series with the guarantee. It was easy to see. There's no team in our base methods that have the 113 connection, but if you go to the Kabbalah ciphers, there's 3 teams, and they're all from the American League. The White Sox sum to 113 in both Kabbalah ciphers. Orioles, 113. If I had to pick one of these 3 teams, I think the Orioles are the most likely, but maybe White Sox got a surprise season in them. Also, in terms of the American League, an opponent for the Nationals, outside of Gematria, what I was already thinking is it would be the Tigers. The Tigers, the Detroit Tigers, are the team that was connected to the curse of the Billy Goat. If you don't know this, True Seeker, we got Detroit's goat. That used to be the sign of the Detroit fans that had to do with the curse of the Cubs, and it was known as the curse of the Billy Goat. Curse of the Billy Goat. Goats are really important to Freemasonry. The goat, a very important symbol for a lot of Masonic initiation. They make men have sex with a goat. You have to fuck the goat in its ass. The word Masonic in Jewish Gematria is 223. And remember, this number is very special to the false Jews, the Synagogue of Satan, Freemasonry based in Jewish history. The Synagogue of Satan, 223. Judaism, goats. In Judaism, they have the scapegoat, to blame things on. Goats are important to Freemasonry, Judaism, who controls Major League Baseball. The whole Cubs drought was all scripted, the entire thing. The whole 108 years. Freemasonry's been running the show since the 1600s. So anyway, this is why you had your Curse of the Billy Goat. Just to understand, it's all Masonic numbers. That was connected to the Detroit Tigers, and I should just check. Detroit, haven't run the numbers on them. In terms of numbers, I don't see it for the Detroit Tigers in terms of alignment with the 113th World Series, but what I did see this offseason was the death of their owner who owned Little Caesars Pizza. He died the day before Pizza Day, which is actually a holiday. Little Caesars owner owned the Detroit Tigers. When he died, I wrote on my blog, I said, if the Tigers make it to the World Series this year, remember this man's death. The Tigers are connected to the curse of the Billy Goat. It could be a Nationals-Tigers World Series, Nationals-Orioles. Pretty sure we're going to see the Nationals there. I'll do more homework. I'll document things as the season goes along. Today, before opening day starts, just want to drop some knowledge. Let you know what I'm looking at. Mariners have never been to a World Series. Nationals have never been to a World Series. The Mariners are in a really tough division. The Astros are favorites to make it to the World Series this year. They have a narrative. The Texas Rangers, one of the top teams in the AL. The Mariners play in that division. The Anaheim Angels, they're one of the biggest payrolls. I don't know if the Mariners can get out from behind that. But you never know in baseball. You know, this has happened before where the team that looks the worst in the division wins the division. It happens every year in baseball. So, never say never. But again, all these sports leagues, the point to understand, it's all scripted, it's all by the numbers, it's all rituals, it's the Freemason psychopaths in charge. These people will burn down a freeway for a sports ritual and worse. The day after Interstate 85 burned down, the Braves won 8-5 over the Yankees. If you missed my work on the Interstate 85 ritual, the same day that happened, the news media, the government, put out new photos of the September 11th damage. I showed how this fire had a lot to do with the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl. The past season began on September 11th. Dan Quinn, the coach of the Falcons, has a September 11th birthday. From his birthday to the Super Bowl was 147 days, our number connected to the World Series. But this is what it is, you know, scripted games, scripted scores. It's all part of a big, sick joke. So again, the big thing to take away, watch the Nationals this year. It has a lot to do with Washington, D.C. and Max Scherzer, who's turning 33. The name Scherzer even sums to 114, like the 114th season of baseball. He's one of the biggest stars in the sport. 33 is their magic number. You know, this is near the end of his career. Mid-30s, most baseball players, you know, their arms wear off. And honestly, you got to give it to these athletes. I grew up playing baseball. I had a really good arm until I ripped my shoulder just days before I turned 30. Age is a real thing, you know. I used to have a laser arm. I could throw people out from the corner of the outfield, you know, all the way across the field. Get left field, right field. I could throw it all the way across the field. Get a run around, you know. My arm fell off just before I turned 30. I don't know how a guy like Max Scherzer throws as many balls a year as he does and doesn't have his arm fall off. I guess these guys have trainers, massage, top nutrition, top doctors, but still, it's amazing. I mean, when you throw a ball as hard as they throw it, as many times as they throw it, that's not a natural motion. Our bodies weren't made to do that. They can do it, but these guys that pitch into their 30s just blows my mind. So anyway, Max Scherzer, top talent. I think they're going to give it to him this year. I think that's what we'll end up seeing. Big tribute for Washington, D.C., the Orange Oompa Loompa in the White House. We'll keep tabs. Watch for the first no-hitter. Watch what happens on the 57th day of the season. We usually get big clues in these patterns. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.